Okay, so today I am going to be installing an auxiliary port on my E46 BMW. This method I've read will only work on, I believe, late 2002 and on models of the E46 3 Series. Mine is a 2004 325 Ci, so it's compatible. So to start, you want to remove this wood paneling, and I got this tool set off of Amazon to do that. There we go. So one of my connectors came off with it, which is why these two pieces are still together, but I think that'll be okay. Okay, then you're going to want to grab a Phillips head screwdriver, and there's two screws you want to unscrew. Okay, and then what you're going to want to do from here is just pop the whole radio itself out. So then behind it, right over here, is a little black kind of L plug sort of thing. You're going to want to disconnect that. You just kind of push down and then it pops right out. And then on this side over here, you're going to want to grab a flathead screwdriver and just kind of pry it out like that. I'm going to try to use one of the tools actually. Maybe that'll be a little easier. There we go. Okay, so you just push it up. It took actually a considerable amount of force. And then your whole radio pops out. So this is the back of the radio. This is where the radio harness, the first thing I disconnected, goes. This, one of these two slots, I forgot which right now, but I will definitely tell you later, is going to be for the aux input. And this is what the cable looks like in its packaging. I ordered this off Amazon. It was like 30 bucks. It comes with instructions to install it in the glove box, but I'm going to be installing it somewhere else. So for now, I'm just going to push these connections back there, and I'm going to be installing my aux plug somewhere down here, and in order to get to that, I need to take out my whole climate control system. So you just want to reach in from behind. It should come out pretty easily. And just be careful not to mess up any of the wiring. I'm just going to set it just kind of to the side for now. And I'm just going to keep going. Okay, there we go. That took a little bit of force actually. So now that that's out. Okay, so what I decided to try to do is put the plug right in there and just have it coming out from here, so that way I just have access to it all the time, or maybe even just leave it inside of there. I haven't decided yet. In order to get that part out, I'm gonna have to take off the gear changer panel. So you just pull on the leather part right there, it should pop right out. And then there's a couple of screws in here to get this paneling part out. Okay, so now that the two screws underneath the window buttons are out, there's going to be two more screws where the mini glove compartment thing was. There's one right there, one right there. So you're going to take those off. Okay, so now that all 6 screws are out, the window button ones, the two down here underneath that part, and the two where that mini glove compartment was, this whole part should just come off. Oops. So basically, this thing was in the way too much, so I decided that I'll just unplug it Really simple plugs, just pop those out, and this whole part will come right off. Okay, so I went ahead and put the car in neutral because there was not enough room to get this whole piece out. So now that the shifter is further back, I have room. Oh, I guess I just put it in drive. I think instead of drilling, what I'm just going to do is underneath here, there's already a little hole, as you can see right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the cord. This is the aux part. It's pretty straightforward. Can't really... You can pretty much easily tell them apart. I mean, yeah. So there's this blue thing right here, and as you can see, it's right there on the inside, and that's what stops it from going all the way in. So all you have to do is just grab it from behind, just super simple, and just slide it up. And get the camera steady. And once it's slid up, you can then put in the aux input. And it'll slide all the way in, just as far as the other one. And knowing that will save you from minutes of frustration that I just experienced trying to force it in. So lift this, put it all the way in, slide this back down, that locks it into place. So now your aux input is good to go. And so right now, so I put it up there, and I ran it down behind the climate control, down through here. That's it right there. And now it's underneath the ashtray. The ashtray part through that little hole that I pointed out earlier. Just gonna pull it through there. Give it a little bit of slack. And yeah. Okay, so now I have it coming into my ashtray from behind everything. And hopefully I can just kind of push everything back and it won't cut the wire or anything like that. I don't think it will. So I start with this big piece. Cool. So that looks like it's sliding right back in perfectly. The holes for the screws are aligned nicely. So yeah, so now the cord is going from up there all the way behind everything down into where the transmission is and up through that little hole in the ashtray area. And I haven't had to do any drilling or anything. And as you can see, the holes for the screws are aligned perfectly, so it looks pretty good. It's not getting in the way back here or anything, so it should be fine. Yeah, this is just kind of sitting back there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is put everything that I can back. So I'm just going to reconnect the connections. Super simple. Just whatever you unplugged, just pop it right back in. Clicks in super easily. This one on this side looks a little different, but exact same concept. And if you have any questions about what I did, just ask in the comments, because this is literally the first time I'm doing anything to my car and I'm just kind of going with it, so I can tell you what I learned from my experience. So after you screw those back in, pop this piece back in, and voila, looking good. Now that that's settled, grab your radio. This is where the aux is going to go. That's where the one that's already there, and that's all your plugs. So, grab it. Kind of get all your wires in there, make sure they're not crossed or tangled or crushing anything. You want to line it up, and you want to use a good amount of force just to make sure the connection's stable. And then once that's in, you can slide this down and it'll just kind of click, and then it's solid. And also, don't forget to reconnect your little radio plug. It's just simple, just pops right on. And I just kind of shoved the aux cable as far down as it would go, just to get it out of the way. And now the radio is sliding in smoothly. And so there's be these little notches that it goes around. So once your radio is back in, you're going to want to screw it back in. Okay, once that's screwed back in, you want to throw your trim back on there. And this should just kind of pop right in. So now that the trim is back in, there's only one step left, which is you drill a hole wherever you want, and then you put this little aux input plate, and it comes with little screws and a little washer, and you kind of run the cord through that. But I'm not going to be doing that in this video. What I'm just going to do is test to make sure that the connection works. So turn on the radio. Alright, radio's working. Click mode, no disc. Click mode again, and as you see, it says aux, which is freaking awesome, because this is the first thing I've ever done to my car. So now I'm going to grab the aux cable. You just use your standard 3.5mm connector. So as you can see, it's working. Let me see if steering wheel controls work. They don't, so that's fine. So I guess the only thing that this works for is the volume. You can change it between the clock and saying aux. Let me see what else. So yeah. Okay, so I actually decided against drilling a hole for the aux cable and installing that little aux plate for a couple of reasons. For one, let me get it in focus here. One reason is that drilling is permanent. You know, it would create a hole. Initially, I was going to put it right here, but I decided against it because if you do something permanent like that and you want your car to be like new again, you're going to have to replace the piece. Not only that, I think it would look kind of tacky and just not really go with everything else that's going around here. Another reason is because if I do have the plug just on the outside like this, then I'm just going to have an aux cord laying around, which will look messy. So whether I'm using it or not, I'm just going to have a cord lying around, which will just look bad in my opinion. And so I decided to just leave it loose and tucked away in here. I have the plug coming up through that little hole, and then I have my aux cable neatly tucked in there. So every time I want to use this, just pop this open and plug it in. Another benefit is that the cigarette lighter is right here, which means if I want to charge my phone or my iPod or what have you using a cigarette lighter charger, I'd have to have it open anyways, and so I can just access both easily like that. So instead of using that faceplate at all, I'm just going to leave it tucked away in here because I think it just looks a lot cleaner and it's less permanent. So that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Just to show you one more time, there it is, aux for your E46, late 2002, and on BMW 3 Series. Thanks.